Hey guys, what's going on? This is Damian Forrester, eXp Realty, as well as the national co-chair for the Black eXp Network. With me, I'm so stoked and excited to have Alexis Still and Sean Christian. These guys are with Rome and they are doing amazing big things that I want to take this back, sound really elementary, because I know a lot about you guys already based on some conversations we had already, but I want the community to know who you guys are, what you guys are, what you guys are about. I want you guys to get detailed with me on what our relationship is. Let's find out more about Alexis and Sean. Sean or Alexis, please start. Who are you? What are you guys all about? How did you guys get with Rome? Talk to me.
So I'm Alexis. I am based in our New York Rome office. I got hooked up with Rome. I actually knew Ronick from our founder, Ronick, from a previous company. We worked at a different real estate startup. And now I'm on the marketing team here at Rome. I primarily spend my time focused on buyer outreach, but I also am our main coordinator for this EXP partnership. So you'll see me around quite a bit in the workplace and that type of thing.
You mentioned something we're going to allude to here pretty soon in this partnership, which is pretty exciting. But we'll get to that later. Sean, talk to us.
Yeah, long-time tech employee. I spent some time with some health tech companies and then migrated over to DoorDash, which I'm sure you've all ordered from before, in one fashion or the other.
Oh, wow.
Grew that business from a very small company to a very large company, and then said, hey, food delivery is great, but I want to try something more difficult. I think selling properties and homes is much more difficult than getting people to order dinner to their door. So I joined Rome about 14, 16 months ago and met Ronick. We had a really good relationship. I run ops and sales here at Rome. And, if you talk to anyone on our team, that would be sort of a byproduct of me. And so we're excited to chat with the XP agents. We've talked to a lot of you already, and it's been a great partnership so far.
Outstanding. Thank you so much for that intro. So now let's get into Rome. I mean, when I think about Rome, I am roaming the countryside here in Montana, but is that an acronym for something or just Rome?
Just Rome. It's not an
Rome.
acronym.
That's all right. So tell me a little bit more about Rome. What is Rome? Get to the elementary side of things, but let's break it down. What is Rome?
So Rome is a two-sided marketplace that helps buyers discover and acquire assumable homes and helps agents and sellers market those homes faster and more efficiently. Rome came about with a mission to solve the housing affordability crisis that has prevented so many people from realizing the American dream of owning a home. I mean, who doesn't want to own a home? So our founder, Ronick, saw buyers across the country being priced out of the market and realized there was a great solution that no one was taking advantage of, and that's assumable mortgages. Had you heard of assumable mortgages prior to Rome?
Well, I know about assumable mortgages, but I didn't know there was like an affiliation that someone could get connected with a bank to actually do something like this. And that's
Mhm.
something that you do. So yeah, break that down.
So, assumable mortgages are a federally approved way to buy a home while avoiding today's absurdly high interest rates of 7%. It is where a buyer can take over a seller's existing mortgage. And once it's transferred, the seller is completely released off the hook from all liability on the mortgage. And it's a win-win because we have all these sellers or people who own homes who bought homes when rates were really low and they don't want to leave because they don't want to settle for less than what their home is worth. And in today's market, a lot of people are needing to settle. And you have all these buyers who think they can't afford a home because they don't want to buy at a 7% rate. So buyers can come in and take over that low rate interest rate, and sellers are able to sell that home for their asking price. And oftentimes we find that they can sell for more than their asking price because buyers are able to afford more. And now they're paying that really low interest rate. And
Wow.
so within our first year of being a company, we've closed on hundreds of homes and we're able to help hundreds of people who previously thought that owning a home wasn't in their cards.
Oh my gosh. Gosh. Okay. So I'm gonna break this down. I want to role play with you guys. Okay. So I'm a real estate agent with eXp Realty. I just heard about Rome and I'm on the buyer side. And I want to talk about the buyer and the seller side, how that works. How am I to talk to my buyer about understanding how that works with them? I know you explained it, but I want to do some role playing here. I'm saying, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I have this program. I believe it's really going to help you out. Go. How does that work?
Just to get like one level of detail lower,
Okay.
and I don't know if Alexis mentioned this, but like all homes that have an FHA or VA loan are the ones that are going to be for assumption.
Okay.
And those assumption rights are brought to you by the VA and by HUD. So they're federal rights. They're not creative financing. They're not subject to financing. So the first thing to start out with is what type of home are you approaching with your buyer. Is it an FHA? Is it a VA? Because that could have two different sets of ramifications. You don't need to be a vet to assume a VA property. Conversely, if you are a vet, you have some like entitlement exchanges. And I don't want to like go deep in the entitlement rabbit hole because that could be an hour conversation. But there's something called entitlements. And when a veteran allows another veteran to assume their home, entitlements basically get transferred. But if a veteran allows a non-veteran to assume their home, there's a bit of math that needs to happen with the entitlement. And we're happy at Rome to talk you through that math. So as a buyer's agent, I would start by like what type of home it is. Two, I would start to understand, what your buyer can afford. So they may have a pre-approval letter from Rocket Mortgage. That typically is going to be super helpful because that pre-approval letter was struck at market rates, 7%, and it may say like 400,000, but the house you're looking at is, I don't know, 600,000. And so your buyer may feel like they're priced out, but really what they ought to do is come to Rome and get pre-approved with Rome, because we will pre-approve them at that interest rate for that particular home. And then we'd figure out kind of every other dynamic of the financing that needs to happen. So every home has seller equity. And so the buyer will have to bring that amount of cash to the closing table. And if they don't have it, we have the secondary mortgage products that can help them. And so there's like a kind of a financial matrix that you could build with each buyer, figure out like what cash do you have on hand? What could you afford from a house perspective at that interest rate? And then if needed, what would be the secondary mortgage they need to take out? And the team at Rome can help across all that dynamic. And then from there, if you guys feel like you can afford this home and Rome's helped you out throughout the process, you'd get with the Rome team again. We would chat with the listing agent and the seller and help explain to them the process of assuming a home and how, it's pretty lightweight. There's not a ton of issues that typically come up. There's no appraisal risk. There typically is inspections. And what we can offer for that seller and for that listing agent is to close in 45 days or less. And if we don't, we'll pay the mortgage for that seller each day after 45 days, if for whatever reason it takes longer than that. So I think where you start out as buyer's agent is you say, what can you afford? What are the tools that are at your disposal with Rome? And then have Rome help you get the offer across the finish line.
Wow. It's a heck of a process. So you're working really closely with that real estate agent as well. Now, are you talking directly to the consumer or is the real estate agent somewhere in that middle?
It all depends. If you feel really comfortable with assumptions and you just want to ask us a few questions and you want to be the face to that buyer. If you want us to kind of handhold or take both you and your buyer through the process, we're happy to do that as well. So we're pretty flexible when it comes to how we engage with consumers and with agents. Kind of where we become a little more strict is like the interaction between the seller and the listing agent. We want to make sure that like that is really buttoned up. So Damian, if you had a buyer and you just wanted to like go and ask the listing agent if the home was assumable, we would say, hey, just wait, hold on. Let's like have a conversation. Let's figure out a game plan. Because a lot of listing agents just have a preconceived notion of what an assumption is.
Right.
And so we have different tricks and tools to help them go, oh, this is a safe type of offer. This is a good offer. We should consider this. And so we're the best at Rome having that conversation. So we find it important that, whether we're engaging with the buyer, with you and the buyer, we want to make sure that like before we go to the listing agent, we have a plan together to attack this.
Well, I'd like to hear that you have. I wrote that down, tips and tools. So I'm assuming you guys have some things for the buyer's agent or the seller's agent to help them to work through this with their clients before getting involved with Rome. Correct?
Absolutely.
All right. So it sounds like a heck of a process, but nonetheless, you guys are going to walk us through that process and make things really easy for the consumers as well as the agents. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
So it sounds it might be a little bit easier for the seller on the seller side or no?
The seller doesn't have to do much.
Yeah.
They just have to be open-minded. So that's step one. An assumption offer is no different than traditional financing, conventional financing, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, every seller wants to have a cash offer at ask within 7 days, but that just doesn't happen. And so a lot of times you're better off going the assumption route. And so, in general, the seller doesn't have to do much except for like understand what it means to them. Like Alexa said, liabilities released, your equity's cashed out, pretty much everything that you want to happen during a sale happens.
Okay.
And then from there, once we go under contract, it's literally just a sign of a pen for the seller. They get a piece of paper from their lender or servicer and they sign a piece of paper, and that gives Rome the rights to process the assumption on their behalf. And so they just get to sit back. They can bother us as much or as little as they want. But we will be handling all the processing and paperwork with their lender. Whereas the buyer has a little more kind of legwork. They have to fill out a whole new application. They have to do all this stuff with the lender. We'll walk them through that process as well. But from the seller's perspective, there's like, it's really just sit back and relax, sign one piece of paper, and you're good to go.
So talk to me about the resources that you have specifically for eXp Realty agents.
Absolutely. I think the most important one is probably, we do a lot of, calculator math, or, I'm going to go back to that VA entitlement stuff,
Yeah.
but we help VAs on the sell side understand what their best course of action is. So if you're leaving the country, that's great, because you may need some of your entitlement, but maybe not all of your entitlement. So we can walk you through that process. We can also help evaluate what your remaining entitlement may be and how you can figure out where your best dollar goes, because VA loans are sort of a unique animal. Every subsequent VA loan that you get has a higher and higher funding fee. So there becomes a point where you don't want to keep taking VA loans after your first VA loan. So we can help have that conversation with sellers. And so from a listing agent perspective, I think we help a lot from understanding what their options are for their seller, how we market the product, how we can best market it on Rome, and then also market it across the universe. So we have tools to sort of push out the assumption benefits across the ecosystem, since we have engagements across a lot of different agents, and we have a lot of traction along that community. So there's marketing things that we can help you guys with. We can provide collateral and stuff of that nature. And then the buy side, I mean, you've been to with Rome, so you have a great discovery tool. We have great pre-qualification tools and secondary mortgages, which I think is super important. I think if you have those three things for a buyer, which is not necessarily exclusive to EXP, but certainly EXP gets first treatment on those from the discovery standpoint. But second mortgages, you guys do get a preferred rate. So if you have buyers that need a second mortgage to help with the gap, we would love to help you guys sort of help a buyer go through that process.
Outstanding. So
Yeah.
I'm in Montana. All right. And so as I understand, Alexis, help me out here. Where are you guys located right now? What is there a map that we can go to, or is there a website that we can go to in regards to say, hey, I really love this product. Let's see if it's here. What are you guys around the United States already?
So we do have a website, withrome.com/markets, where you can see the 17 states that we're officially in. But for agents like you, based in Montana or other states that are not listed on that website, I don't want you to get discouraged. As part of being an EXP agent and some of the different perks that you get with this partnership, we do offer a separate type of partnership with people that with agents that were not in their states yet. So for listing agents, if you have any listings that you want to send over to us, we can get all the financial details for you, tell you if it's assumable, and do the same type of things, providing marketing materials as we would for anyone else. On the buy side, if you're taking a buyer shopping and you want to have a quick list, give us some of their must-haves and wishes. We can look up some of the houses that we think might be a fit for them that are assumable, or if they have a house in mind, we're happy to, again, take a look, get all the financial details, and let you know if it's assumable or not. So you're not left out if you're not on that page. But if you do want to see a map of all the states that you can use discovery in, withrome.com/markets.
Okay, and right. I think we discussed a lot about the tools and trainings already. Let's talk about what's the best way to connect with you guys. How does that work if I am an EXP Realtor or any other agent? I mean, this is not exclusive for EXP Realty, is it?
No, it's not. We do have very specific incentives just for EXP people,
Well, that was
because
one of my next questions. I want to hear about what the math is.
There's money floating around. Don't worry.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Because I
Yeah.
remember I think we connected a couple of weeks ago, almost 3 weeks ago now or more, and you really got me stupid excited about some of the benefits working with you. So let's talk about those benefits.
So on the listing side, we have a special listing agent partner program. And for any listing agent with an eligible assumable listing, our biggest thing is just spreading the awareness of assumable mortgages in Rome. And so we want you to help us get the word out about this. So for any eligible listing that you update the listing description to include that it's assumable and it's assumable interest rate, for EXP agents only, we will give you $250.
That's a lot of money.
I would agree. And
It's one
especially
sentence.
if you consider the
It's one
fact.
sentence. It's
Oh,
like the
sorry.
easiest. It's like one sentence. It's the easiest thing you can do ever. Easiest money you can make ever.
I know. I mean, honestly, in today's market and with things, I mean, it's 250 is a good chunk of change for anybody.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
like
fantastic.
Sean mentioned earlier, a lot of agents don't even know what they're sitting on, that they even have these assumable properties. EXP actually has over 25% of assumable listings on the market right now.
Oh,
So
geez,
chances
Louise.
are you either have one or you know someone who has one.
Wow. Okay. What as an agent or EXP Realty can do to support Rome right now? How can we as an agent listening to this, getting really stupid excited about this, what can we do to get involved? How can we help you grow? How does that work?
Yeah, definitely. So you can reach out to us anytime, agents@withrome.com. You can schedule a call with us by emailing us or through withrome.com/agents. And by doing that, we can take a look at your exact situation. We can see what listings you have available, and we can decide a best plan of action forward for how we can move forward with the partnership individually. Or you can reach out to me on Workplace at any time. I answer any and all questions that come to my inbox, and I can definitely reach you to the best place.
For many of you that don't know, Rome is part of our workplace environment. And like Alexa says, you guys can reach out to her at almost any time on chat and get your questions answered. Now, Alexis and probably Sean are going to be coming on and onto our workplace and be part of this event that we have on Juneteenth. Let's talk a little bit about that. So in June, on Juneteenth in Atlanta, Rome is one of our major sponsors, and we're so super excited. So what does that mean for you guys, being part of EXP's Realty?
Yeah, definitely. The EXP partnership is still very new to us, but we're so excited to be able to delve deeper into it with a group as influential as the Black EXP Network, and particularly with this Juneteenth event. When we saw the closing wealth gap theme, we were thought that we would be a perfect fit because we're attacking this problem from so many different sides. And as I mentioned, our mission when we started this company was to tackle the housing affordability crisis. And as we know, the Black community is disproportionately affected by it. So making sure that we're able to show up for them and increase accessibility to solutions like ours to that community is super important to us. So we couldn't be more excited to be a sponsor and be joining you guys for the Juneteenth
Gosh,
conference.
thank you guys so much. All right, so I want to end off. I want to hear from both of you. What piece of advice would you leave for us EXP Realty agents at this point?
I would say you have nothing to lose by reaching out to us. This is totally risk-free on your end. And if anything, it just helps you increase the tools in your toolkit. You can come get educated on assumable mortgages. There's no pressure to use us in the future. But again, we think that this is a great tool. We think that Rome does a wonderful job of helping you take these tools and apply them and help you get your bag up. So there's nothing to lose. Just reach out and say hi at the very least.
Outstanding. Reach out to Alexis. Sean, anything else to add?
Yeah, I would add a couple things. We can help in a lot of different dynamics. One is certainly like if any EXP agent has a listing appointment, reach out to Rome because we can tell them, hey, here's the differentiator that you may have. It may be FHA or VA home. So we would love to help you develop some collateral for that listing agent appointment so you can win that listing. So that'd be one. So if you have a listing agent appointment or a listing appointment, come to the Rome team and we can help you talk about like how you can best market it so you can win it. I'm not quite sure how many people a regular homeowner talks to when they have listing appointments, but I'm sure it's a few. And so you want to make yourself stand out, right? And so we have the tools and marketing to help you do that. And then sort of like if you are a listing agent, you have a listing that's active, that's FHA or VA, or maybe you don't know, reach out to us as well. We want to be able to tell you kind of what your options are. What we've noticed a lot in the marketplace today is a lot of people are afraid to like engage with buyers agents on like the financing options. And like I understand it because listing agents don't want to cause friction into the offer process, which is totally understandable. But for kind of the sake of that buyer and for the sake of the seller, kind of for the sake of every party and counterparty in a transaction, I think having an open discussion about financing alternatives is super important. And so if you're a listing agent, you understand that your home is assumable. What I would say is like if you get an offer or a semblance of an offer, maybe you like are like, hey, someone might write an offer, reach out to the Rome team so we can talk with that buyer's agent because there's a likelihood that we can get that buyer higher in their ask price because we can go the assumption route. And again, there's that math behind kind of every offer, and we know the math behind assumption offers, so we can certainly help guide that conversation. So I would say like we have the tools to Alexis's point, and so the Rome team, no matter what your situation is, if you're going to a listing appointment, if you have an active listing, if you have buyers, we have the tools. Come to us, reach out to us. We have some self-serve tools on withrome.com that we can share. But in general, we're sort of subject matter experts, and we want to be that for the EXP team. So we're always available. You guys have our hotline, and we're excited to chat.
Outstanding. Gosh, thank you so much for educating me and many of the community, our community here with eXp Realty. It sounds like you guys are an amazing asset to a buyer and or a seller, as well as the eXp Realty agent to help them move forward and also put some money in their pockets. Once
Yeah.
again, this is not just for eXp Realty. This is for many other firms that are out there also. So please connect with Alexis and Sean at once again withrome.com, correct? And if you have any questions whatsoever, you can also find us in Workplace. Definitely, Alexis is going to be there answering any questions that you need. But this is one of those amazing affiliates. Thank you so much, Rome, for being part of our community and helping us to move forward with all of our agendas here and this movement with Black EXP Network across the United States and even further. So thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you guys on Workplace.
Thanks,
Thanks, Damian.
Damian.